It really hit me recently that New Horizons is over 3 years old. 3 years! Where has the time gone, honestly? Throughout that time, we've seen so many changes to the game that it's actually hard to keep track of everything. My brain is just too small. That includes things that have been taken away also, such as fun glitches, exploits, and even certain features too. For example, most of you probably know about the hybrid flower islands that Nintendo removed from the pool of possible mystery islands. These special islands basically allowed you to farm hybrid flowers, which might sound kind of broken although they were extremely rare, but Nintendo took these away in an update. I'm genuinely still sad about this to this day, and I'm even sadder that new players can't get to enjoy this. Speaking of new players, we've had a lot of them start up their journey with the game this year, so I want to take a look back on some of the things that got removed since the game launched. Now, to be fair, some of these are understandable as they were glitches, but others really surprised me. And even for the ones that are glitches, I think a lot of you are going to wish these were still in the game. So, let's do this. Starting us off, we have fences on docks. Now this one might actually surprise you, as you can see, you can actually customize your dock. You can put furniture items on there no problem, but for some reason Nintendo removed the ability to add fences on there. Now I definitely think this is a shame, as it was a nice level of customization and you could really make the dock feel special with fences. But it seems like because Nintendo was planning on adding Kapp'n in a later update, which ended up being the 2.0 update, they decided to remove fences. It's hard to say, but I'm guessing that fences might have interrupted how Kapp'n works or something like that. I really don't know, but it does kind of make you wonder given the fact that you can still put furniture items on here. It's not like fences would block Kapp'n off or something, because the same could be said about any furniture items that you could put right in front of him, so it is really confusing. This is one of those things that I would put in the category of not a glitch, but it still almost kind of feels like a glitch, if you know what I mean. It's definitely not the thing I'm the most sad about in this list that they removed. There are things that I'm definitely much more sadder about, as I don't think the majority of people were thinking about putting fences on their docks, let's be honest. But I do think anything that takes away a level of customization in a game that is all about customization is definitely a little bit sad. So I had to mention this one. At the very least, you can still customize your dock quite a lot. I like the fact that you can put all kinds of different furniture items on there, it just makes it feel a little bit more custom. But sadly, fences are not included in that category. Next, we have one that was rather controversial in the Animal Crossing community, and I'm sure a lot of you have heard about this. It was the star trees. Now, there are some very differing opinions on star trees. I want to mention that star trees were not a legitimate thing within the game. They were technically a hack, I guess. I don't really know what you'd call them. They weren't modding, as they could actually be transferred from player to player. You didn't need to download anything onto your Switch or anything like that. So they were kind of equivalable to what we've got with Treasure Islands, and in fact, I do believe a lot of Treasure Islands did actually give away these star trees. But the fact remains that they were not legitimate items within the game. After lots of players got reported for having these star trees on their dream islands, Nintendo decided to step in and actually ban these completely, removing them from the game so that any star trees would turn into regular trees. And this did upset a lot of players because these were fan favorites, and I can understand why. They're honestly so cool. I think a lot of people were really hoping that Nintendo would turn around and say, okay, we're going to turn these into an actual item in the game. After all, we do have Star Fragments, we have Celeste. I'm sure there's lots of cool things they could have done to explain why Star Fragment trees would exist. But sadly, this was never the case. Although Nintendo did do things like add in the Star Fragment Island with Kapp'n and such, they never made any adjustments to Star Fragment trees. They are still not available in the game to this day unless a player mods their island. To be honest, I'm still not even sure how they actually worked. I really don't understand how players managed to transfer them from one island to another. I guess that kind of implies that they were maybe meant to be a thing in the game to begin with. I've seen different types of items on trees too, so maybe this was a functionality that just was available, but only traditionally through Nintendo's means. Either way, it is definitely a thing of the past now, and Star Fragment trees are no more. It's a really interesting piece of Animal Crossing New Horizons history though, so I couldn't make this video without mentioning this one. Now we have one that I really don't know how to feel about. Nintendo actually removed the ability for players to catalog posters. Now, in case it sounds a bit confusing, what I mean by this is, other players cannot share posters with each other, so you cannot put them down the ground, someone picks them up and is added to their catalog and then they buy it. This is called soft touch trading, I believe. It's something that happens a lot on islands where people don't want to actually give away the items, they just want to help the other player catalog it. But in an update, Nintendo removed the ability to do this with posters. I think the reason for this is because traditionally posters are actually obtained by scanning in amiibos. As you can see, I've scanned in quite a few amiibos of different characters and villages and such, so I have all these posters in my catalog. And given the fact that you have to pay for amiibos, I think Nintendo wanted to keep it this way so people couldn't just get the posters for free. I'm pretty sure you can still actually trade the posters, as in put them down on the ground, someone picks them up and takes them home with them, but in terms of adding to their catalog, I don't believe it counts. They would still have to scan in the amiibo if they wanted to buy more. This isn't really the biggest loss in the game, but I do think it's a shame. I'm honestly not a huge fan of having items locked behind paywalls, and that's kind of what amiibos are. The posters are really cool too, and they were kind of a more accessible version of the pictures that you can get once you've really built up your friendship with certain characters. But sadly, I guess Nintendo just did not see it that way and did not want to have us having these posters for free, basically. Still, I'm sure if you can find something like a Treasure Island, you'll be able to get plenty of the posters you've been looking for, so it shouldn't be too difficult to get them. You just won't be able to catalog them unless you scan in the amiibo yourself somehow. Next, we have a glitch that I never got to try and I'm so sad about. It felt like it lasted for 0.2 seconds. This was the ability to actually put trees on pathways. And as you can see, this is something you can no longer do, which is generally to be expected. I do completely understand actually why Nintendo patched this glitch. I mean, having trees on pathways isn't the most natural thing. Although to be fair, in plenty of cities you do actually see that happening, and I feel like that could have been a good feature for those types of islands specifically. But Nintendo took away this glitch fairly promptly and players were no longer able to try it. I'm not quite sure what happened to the trees that were on pathways before the update dropped. I believe either the pathway disappeared below them or maybe the tree itself disappeared. But yes, currently in the game you are no longer able to do that, which is really sad. It does kind of surprise me given the fact there are some other glitches which have been in the game for so long, like the ability to put trees on the sides of cliffs and such, but this one remains gone. Finally, Nintendo removed the original monthly interest rate for the ABD. It went from 0.5% to 0.05%, which is a huge nerf. Basically, it went from 99,000 bells per month to 9,999, which is really sad. On one hand, I kind of get why Nintendo did this. The system was a little bit broken, you were getting so many bells by having interest. But then again, I don't feel like bells are that hard to come by in New Horizons. Nintendo certainly hasn't tried to nerf the turnip exchange, which is probably one of the most broken ways of getting bells, especially if you can go online and trade with other players, so I really don't understand why they would modify this when it wasn't hurting the economy of the game at all. I don't want to give them any ideas about nerfing turnips though in future games, so I'm not going to mention that again. Let me know what things Nintendo removed that you missed the most though. Which on this list are you wishing was still in the game? If you made it to the end of the video, be sure to comment Bob's Gang down below so I know that you did. If you enjoyed, be sure to leave a like, and if you haven't already, consider subscribing and turning on notifications for more.